got the used battery in there. Well, good news is I think it wouldn't start because that battery was just so dead that the PCM just wasn't allowing it to start. Probably some type of voltage sensing logic or whatever, but good news for the customer. I'm gonna, because last time I did this, when I diagnosed it last time, I diagnosed it with the modus, and I did save the waveform, but I traded it in and never got the waveform off of it. So I want to hook it up just to get the waveform again, so I can have it for good this time. But the cam sensor is actually unhooked right now. That's how it starts. It won't start if the cam sensor is hooked up because of the cam reluctor is wrong. Oh, look at that, some missing bolts. I wonder if this thing even has motor mounts tightened down on it. This thing is so bad when you hit the gas, but we'll see. Oh, that was easy. Here's the fuse box, right? Alright, here's the auto shutdown relay. That's where it's supposed to be. Right, here's the high speed and the low speed fan relays, right? So ASD, high and low. Let's check it out over here. ASD, high and low. Wonder why it's not working. Right, LED works, right? Fans work. That's a high speed, and then it's got control. So I think it's just missing. Turn it on, and it's being controlled. Alright, so I'm just going to do the same thing for the low speed. So I don't even know if yeah, it probably still work if the one's disconnected. But see here. Still sounds like high speed to me. I don't know if that's because I have the other relay out, but it's capable of activating it. So probably just needs relays. At the very least, I'm gonna have to get relays anyway. All right, so I had a couple relays. You know, I have a couple laying around just to see. And it works. So fans don't sound that good though. That's high speed. Low speed I already checked. One of them is pretty noisy. I'm probably gonna lose my finger trying to do that. But it works. This latch doesn't shut. Right, so I had to drive it home with the hood, you know, not fully latched. Look at that, right? And you probably can't even see it, but you can kind of see it there. The light's right on there. It's right in front of the condenser. On both sides, it's a support beam for the, I guess they had to take that out at some point or whatever. I don't even know if you can see this. The whole damn thing. Yeah, it's hard to show holding the camera because I'm just shaking the camera and everything, but this whole thing's flexing, so every time, you see here, see that? So every time hood comes down, it just pushes it out of the way. That's another thing I gotta fix. I think I get some bolts for that, no big deal. Alright, it's a 2003 Sebring. I was contacted about 3 or 4 years ago to diagnose this. I diagnosed it then, and it actually sat at the lot until now. I had a different tool. I had a Modus and a Vantage, and I got rid of those, and I neglected to save the waveforms for this one. But I'm just doing another capture so I can have this on record. But I'm hooked up to the camshaft sensor signal on this side, and crank on the other side, and turn the key on, see if we have a reference. And we do. We got 5 volts on both. All right, we got 5 volts on both, and I got this hooked up to the starter relay so I can crank it and wait till. Alright, so that's our capture, and let's take a look. Alright, so let's go. Alright, so it's our capture. Get this thing out of the way. Okay, any day. If you see the pattern there. Alright, I have a pattern. Now when I tried to find a known good for this, it wasn't matching up right. What's happening here is the shop had put I believe a newer engine in this, and that made the difference. They had they couldn't get it to start, but it will start if you disconnect the cam sensor. Alright, so this will start and run. You just have to disconnect the cam sensor. So I scoped it, and what I found is that between the years that they put the engine in, that this thing has the wrong cam reluctor on it, or cam gear, and that's the diagnosis. I did actually have this apart at one point. These were already missing. There's a bunch of stuff missing here. The fans weren't working. Had to figure out why. Probably because they're missing. I already put relays in there to make sure the fans are working. The one fan is noisy. I'll worry about checking amperage later, but I just wanted to get this waveform capture. And this is, you got 4 pulses here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4. I can't even read it. 1, 2, 3. 4. Yeah, they're 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the crank. And then you have the pattern here. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, and the actual pattern is different. So good times. All right, just to prove that it'll run, it'll start with that disconnected. I disconnected it. It was tight to get in there. Let me take this out because it won't start with that. So it will have an extended crank. Oops. So it runs. Okay. So it runs. Now let me see. Save it. Second. Alright, I got that saved. I didn't want to mess that up. Alright, so it's just so you can see it is running. not even registering on there right now. There it is. I need a new end there. That thing's a little messed up. There it is. That's my pattern, and it's the wrong pattern. But it will run. Just have to disconnect it. It won't run. That's my pattern there. It's the wrong pattern. The green is the camshaft. It's the wrong pattern. It's a good thing that the crank is actually right. When they put this engine in, they didn't. When they transferred the parts, they luckily the junkyard engine didn't come with a flex plate, because if it came with a flex plate and they used that flex plate, this thing wouldn't run at all. But the engine would have to come out to change the flex plate. So at least we just change the gear here. All right, this is the one. It's missing. It's missing both relays. So I just want to see how much amperage is being pulled out. I don't know if you can tell, but once you get out in the sun, you can't see shit. You can't see. It's really hard to read. If this was inside a shop, probably be a pretty good tool. Zero it. I'm on AC right now. I need to DC, zero it. Right the first time. Right. So about 21 amps. Now I don't have both relays in there, so I don't think it's going to have a difference between high and low. It seems to be the same. Same speed and everything, but I think because I only have one relay in there, or actually I have no relays in there. I'm just using my tool. Yeah, it's not a bad tool, but this display is terrible. And it was cheap. It was like $100 or whatever it was. I wanted to make sure it had AC. You have to make sure it has AC and DC. And this only goes up to 400 amps, which, you know, should be good enough for checking a starter draw on most vehicles. And now I smell fuel. Great. I wonder what else is wrong with this thing. This is going to be a headache. Okay. I think I smell fuel. I'm going to have to look at that. But if you notice there, it's been only around in a couple seats. Yep. We got some leaking transmission fluid there. Awesome. So I'm going to, I think when I diagnose this thing, I'm just going to make sure it's safe enough. It's all the way in. It's not leaking any fuel. How's this? I don't know. I don't want to know. Actually, what I think I'm smelling is, I'm smelling blow-by. This thing probably has a bunch of fuel in there from trying to crank it over. Who knows? It's getting an oil change either way. It's getting an oil change from sitting with the valve cover being off for a couple years and me, being in there and all the cranking that's been done on this thing. Yeah, that's a little blow-by. I think that's what I'm smelling, but it does have a transmission leak. It's a shame, man. So simple. This thing runs pretty damn good with that cam, with the bad cam wheel on there. Surprisingly well. Got a lot of power, but I got to check the motor mounts, see if they're even tight. A lot of clunking and stuff going on when I was driving this thing. And it's missing stuff like that. And, these are just flopping around and not even bolted. I don't even know how these are supposed to be done. I was missing both those too. These were missing. We weren't able to shut the hood. And that's kind of, I don't know if this thing's damaged underneath or something, but there's some bending going on. I don't know what was done besides an engine putting in this, an engine being put in it. But a lot of blow-by for a new motor, I guess. Who knows? It's like fun. Tranny leak. It might just be, I can see it leaking now. So that, I might just have to tighten it. I don't know if you saw that. I might just have to tighten it or replace the line. Yeah, it looks pretty loose. So I'll tighten it up, see what happens. It looks loose to me. I don't know if you can tell. Right there, it's kind of pretty grainy, but it looks like that clamp's loose. So I'm gonna tighten it up and see what happens. Okay, here we go. This is the one that was with the junkyard motor, which is the wrong one. You got the timing dot there, the little mark. Same thing, timing dot there. If you look on the wrong one, you got, let's just go, let's go clockwise. You got 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. On this one started with 3, this one starts with 1. So this one's 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. This is the correct one. This is the tensioner. It's got a little nick there, plus the gasket tore apart. I'm going to replace this. I'm able to move this by hand, which seems a little too easy. Over here, some timing marks. It's off now because it rotated a little bit, but I'm going to try to sneak it in without having to take the whole thing apart. But we'll see where I'm at. I'll rotate it by hand probably 5 or 6 times and check, make sure everything lines back up, and then should be good to go, except for this tensioner. I'm gonna have to order that, and the gasket ripped apart. Actually, it was just RTV'd back together anyway. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not RTVing this thing back together. So I didn't see a listing for that gasket, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. But that's where we are so far. I decided to pull it all apart. It's the right way to do it. I gotta get these marks lined up. Gotta get the cams lined up and everything. But that's the right way to do it. Got the scope set up again. Alright. green is camshaft, the reluctor I just replaced, and that's the crankshaft, and they're both hooked up, and it starts right up now instead of that extended crank or no crank when it's hooked up. Starts right up. Here we got our pattern, which is the correct pattern. Let's see here. Let's drop this down a little. And then stop it. Zoom it out. See right there, that's the pattern now. And you see it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. And the other one, which was, the other one here was 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. She's all done. Still missing bolts though. I couldn't find any spare parts. All that stuff was missing. I found some stuff for that. All these screws were missing. I found screws that was missing. Those two were missing. There's a lot of connectors that are missing all the, the child safety locks on them. But back together, it's running good now.